Welcome to Heartline Stories. Today's story follows Jennifer and Mark, a couple whose lives are turned upside down after a shocking betrayal. Jennifer, pregnant with their first child, is suddenly banned from a family dinner and left reeling. As secrets unfold, they find themselves caught in a dangerous web of lies. But when Jennifer's husband's hidden organization is revealed, their world shifts in ways they never expected. Will they escape the people chasing them? Who can they trust when the truth is more dangerous than they ever imagined? Stay tuned to see what happens next and let us know where you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It was a quiet evening in the Johnson household. Jennifer Johnson, who was 8 months pregnant, had been looking forward to spending time with her husband Mark and his family. She'd been feeling a little emotional lately, and she thought a family dinner would be a nice way to relax and enjoy some company before the baby arrived. However, when she entered the living room, the mood quickly shifted. Mark's mother, Susan, looked at Jennifer with an icy expression. "I'm sorry, dear," she said, her voice cold. "This is a family dinner, and we have a lot of people here. You should stay in your room tonight." Jennifer was taken aback. She had never been treated this way by Mark's family before. She looked at Mark, who stood silently beside her. He didn't say a word. His eyes were downcast, and he looked uncomfortable. Jennifer felt a pang in her chest. Was this really happening? Confused and hurt, Jennifer quietly excused herself from the dinner. She went to her room, sitting on the bed and trying to fight back tears. She couldn't understand why her husband wasn't standing up for her. He'd always been so protective of her, but now he was just silent. As she sat there, her mind raced. She knew something wasn't right. This wasn't like Mark at all. Was there something he wasn't telling her? And why was his family treating her this way, especially when she was pregnant with their first child? Later that night, Mark came into their room. He looked tired and uncomfortable, as if he were carrying a heavy secret. Jennifer turned to face him, her heart heavy with questions. "Mark," she began softly, "why didn't you stand up for me tonight? Why did they treat me like that?" Mark hesitated, taking a deep breath. I didn't want to cause a scene," he said quietly. "I'm sorry, Jennifer." But Jennifer could see the hesitation in his eyes. There was something more. "What's going on, Mark?" she asked. "Why didn't you say anything? And why have they suddenly treated me like an outsider?" Mark's face darkened. "Jennifer, there's something you don't know about me. Something I've kept from you." Jennifer felt a knot form in her stomach. "What do you mean?" Mark sat down beside her on the bed, looking conflicted. "I'm not just an accountant, Jennifer. I'm involved in something big. I'm part of a secret organization. My family, they know about it. They've been pressuring me to focus on it more than on us, more than on you and our baby." Jennifer felt her breath catch in her throat. "A secret organization?" she whispered, trying to process what he was saying. "Why didn't you tell me, Mark?" Mark looked down at his hands. "I never wanted you to be involved in that world. It's dangerous, Jennifer. And now they're trying to pull me back in." Jennifer's mind was spinning. "But why tonight? Why did they ban me from dinner? What does this have to do with me?" Mark sighed deeply. "They want me to choose, Jennifer. Choose between them and you. They're trying to push me into their world again. But I can't stand to see you hurt." Jennifer's heart raced. "What are you going to do?" Mark hesitated. "I don't know yet, but I promise you, I won't let them take you away from me. I'll protect you." As Jennifer tried to understand the magnitude of what Mark had just confessed, she had no idea that this secret organization Mark was a part of was about to change their lives forever. And it was going to shake their world in ways they couldn't imagine. Just hours later, the phone rang. Mark's face turned pale when he saw the number on the screen. It was a call he'd been dreading. "I have to take this," Mark said, his voice filled with worry. Jennifer watched him leave the room, her mind racing. Who were these people, and what did they want with her husband? She had no idea that Mark's secret organization wasn't just a job. It was a dangerous world of power, manipulation, and control that was about to collide with their lives in the most unexpected way. The next morning, things were different. Mark wasn't home. His phone went straight to voicemail, and Jennifer felt a growing sense of fear. What had happened to him? And what had his family been hiding from her all this time? Suddenly, the doorbell rang, and Jennifer's heart skipped a beat. She opened the door, and standing there was a man she didn't recognize. Tall, serious, and dressed in black. "Are you Mrs. Johnson?" he asked, his voice cold. Jennifer nodded, her pulse racing. "Yes, who are you?" The man glanced over his shoulder, as if making sure no one was watching. "I'm here to deliver a message from the organization. Your husband is in danger, and you need to leave now. They're coming for you." Jennifer's eyes widened in shock. "What do you mean? What's going on?" The man stepped closer, lowering his voice. "There's no time to explain. You have to trust me. I'll keep you safe, but we need to go now." With her heart pounding, Jennifer made the decision that would change everything. She couldn't trust anyone right now, not even her husband's family. She had to find out what this secret organization was all about and how it was going to affect the future of her family. The only thing she knew for sure was that nothing would ever be the same again. Jennifer felt a chill run down her spine as she stared at the man in front of her. His eyes were cold, but there was an urgency in them that she couldn't ignore. "Who are you?" she asked again, her voice trembling, but she already knew she had no choice but to trust him. "I'm just someone trying to help," the man replied, his tone softening slightly. "But right now we don't have much time. If you don't leave, things could get worse. Do you want to protect your family?" Jennifer felt her mind racing. Mark had kept so many secrets, but the last thing she wanted was for anything bad to happen to him or their baby. She quickly grabbed her purse and rushed to grab a few essentials, her thoughts scattered. Before she could leave, she heard a voice from behind. "Where do you think you're going?" It was Mark. He stood in the doorway looking disheveled, as though he hadn't slept in hours. His eyes locked with Jennifer's, full of fear, but also something else, a strange mixture of guilt and anger. "I had to leave, Jennifer. It wasn't safe here," he said hurriedly, stepping closer. Jennifer's heart raced as she took a step back. "Mark, what's going on? Who was that man?" That's part of the organization," Mark said quietly, his gaze darting to the man standing in the hallway. "Jennifer, I never wanted you involved in this, but it's too late now." "Why didn't you tell me, Mark?" Jennifer's voice cracked with emotion. "You lied to me. All this time I've been thinking you were just working late or going on business trips. You've been a part of something dangerous this whole time." "I was trying to protect you," Mark admitted, stepping closer to her. "But now they know about you. They know about our baby, and if we stay here, they'll find us." The man who had knocked on her door stepped forward again, his expression hardening. "There's no time for a family discussion. We need to leave now." Jennifer's mind was spinning. "Where are we going? What do they want with us?" "I don't know all the details," Mark confessed, "but I'm not going to let them take you or our baby. I'll do whatever it takes to protect you." The man nodded gravely. "Time is running out. We'll explain everything along the way. But first, you need to come with us. We're not safe here." Jennifer's heart was racing. She glanced at Mark and then at the man. She had no idea who this stranger really was or what this mysterious organization wanted with her family, but the fear in Mark's eyes told her everything. With a final glance at her apartment, Jennifer nodded. "Okay, let's go." The man led them to a black SUV parked outside the apartment complex. It was sleek and tinted, giving it an almost intimidating presence. As they drove through the city, Jennifer's thoughts raced. Who could possibly want to hurt them? And why? "Mark," she whispered as the car hummed through the streets. "What are we getting into?" Mark ran his hand through his hair, looking troubled. "I didn't choose this, Jennifer. I thought I could escape it. But they always find a way back in." The man in the front seat turned around briefly to face them. "It's not just about Mark," he said, his voice low. "It's about power, control, and the people who have control of Mark have been watching you. They think you're the key to getting everything they want." Jennifer felt a pit form in her stomach. "What do they want from me?" The man didn't answer, and the silence in the car was suffocating. The tension was palpable, and Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that everything she thought she knew was being ripped away from her. Hours later, they arrived at a nondescript building on the outskirts of the city. It looked abandoned, but the security cameras and guards outside told a different story. Mark hesitated before getting out of the car. "This is where they've been keeping tabs on me," he said quietly. I'm not proud of what I've been a part of, Jennifer, but I promise you, I'll get us out of this. Jennifer took his hand, her heart racing as they entered the building. She had no idea what she was walking into, but one thing was clear. She wasn't going to let her family be torn apart. As they walked down a dim hallway, the man who had led them here opened a door to a small room. "We'll be safe here for now," he said, "but I need to go check something. Stay put." Mark and Jennifer sat in the cold, sterile room, the silence growing thicker as minutes ticked by. Jennifer couldn't stop thinking about the life she had left behind. Could she ever trust Mark again? Was there more to this secret organization than he had told her? And most importantly, could they get out of this alive? A few minutes later, the door opened. The man walked back in, his face grim. "They know we're here," he said. "We need to leave. Now." Jennifer stood up quickly, her heart pounding. "What's going to happen to us?" The man didn't answer, but Jennifer could see the urgency in his eyes. They had no time to waste. Jennifer's breath caught in her throat as she looked at Mark, her heart pounding. She could see the fear in his eyes, but also determination. She had to trust him. She had no choice now. "Let's go," Mark said, his voice firm despite the panic clearly creeping into his voice. He grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the exit. The man led the way down the hall, moving quickly, his steps echoing in the silence. Jennifer followed, her mind spinning. They turned a corner and suddenly they were facing a metal door, locked with an electronic keypad. "Wait here," the man said, pressing a few keys on the keypad. The door clicked open. The man ushered them through quickly, and they were in a narrow hallway that led to a series of stairwells. The air was heavy with tension as Jennifer's heart raced faster. What if they were caught? What would happen to their baby? "Where are we going?" Jennifer asked, trying to catch her breath. "Just stay close," the man replied. "We're almost there." Jennifer had no idea where there was, but she couldn't afford to question him now. Mark kept a tight grip on her hand as they moved quickly through the darkened hallways, the sound of their footsteps ringing in the stillness. The stairwell ahead was dark and narrow. The man moved ahead of them, his silhouette almost blending into the shadows. Jennifer could barely keep up, her legs aching with the strain, but she pushed herself forward. The man stopped at the top of the stairwell and turned to face them. His eyes were serious, and there was something in his expression that made Jennifer uneasy. "We'll be safe here for a moment," he said, "but you need to stay hidden." Mark nodded quickly, his face pale. "How long until we can leave?" "I don't know," the man said softly, "but it won't be long. We have a plan, but I need to make sure they don't track us. Stay quiet." Jennifer was scared, but she knew there was no turning back now. She squeezed Mark's hand, trying to steady herself. They had already been through so much, and she couldn't imagine how much worse it could get. Just as they were about to move deeper into the building, the sound of footsteps echoed through the hallway behind them. They froze, holding their breath. The man looked at them and then glanced over his shoulder. "We have to move fast. Follow me." They ran down the corridor, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpeting. Jennifer's heart raced as they rounded a corner and entered a small room. The door clicked shut behind them, and the man locked it quickly. Jennifer looked around. The room was bare, with only a few chairs and a table. No windows, no escape. The man turned to face them, his eyes urgent. "Stay quiet. No one can know you're here." Mark took a deep breath. "Where are we going after this?" "I'm getting you out of the city," the man said. "We can't stay here long, but once we're out of this building, I'll explain everything." I promise. The silence in the room was deafening. Jennifer's mind raced. How could everything have gone so wrong? She thought their life was perfect, stable, peaceful, but now it felt like everything was falling apart. And then, as if the universe was conspiring against them, Jennifer's phone buzzed in her pocket. She gasped and quickly pulled it out, hoping it wasn't a message from someone dangerous. It was from her mom. Her fingers shook as she opened the message. Her mom had written, "I'm so sorry, Jennifer. I had no idea, but it's too late. They're already here." Jennifer's heart stopped. They were coming for her family. Jennifer's hands trembled as she read her mother's message. Panic surged through her, but she tried to stay calm, knowing that it was no use to fall apart now. She looked at Mark, whose face was as pale as hers. "What does that mean?" Mark whispered, his voice strained. Jennifer swallowed hard, trying to fight back the tears. "It means they know we're here. They're coming for us." The man who had been standing by the door overheard and quickly turned to them. "We don't have much time. Stay close." Without another word, he hurried to the far side of the room and opened a hidden door in the wall. It led to another narrow hallway, dimly lit and barely wide enough for them to walk in a line. "Move quickly," the man urged. They followed, Jennifer clinging to Mark's side, her mind racing. What had she gotten herself into? Her heart beat wildly as she thought about their baby, the only thing that mattered right now. They turned a corner and came to a large elevator. The man pressed the button, and the doors opened immediately. He ushered them inside. The tension was unbearable, and Jennifer could hardly breathe, her thoughts spinning. As the elevator descended, Jennifer tried to focus. She had to think. They couldn't just keep running forever. They needed to get out of this city, out of danger. But how? The elevator stopped with a jolt, and the man pushed open the doors. They emerged into an underground garage, dimly lit and eerily quiet. Several cars were parked, but the man led them toward an unmarked black SUV at the far end of the garage. "This is our escape," he said urgently. "Once you're in, I'll take you somewhere safe." They scrambled into the car, Jennifer still struggling to grasp what was happening. It didn't make sense. One moment, everything was fine, and the next, she and Mark were fleeing for their lives. The man started the car and they sped out of the garage, the tires squealing on the pavement. The city lights blurred around them, but Jennifer wasn't looking at them. Her eyes were fixed on Mark, who was staring out the window, lost in thought. "We're not safe yet," the man said, breaking the silence. "I have a friend who can help, but we need to lay low for a while. No one can know you're alive, not yet." Jennifer glanced at him. "Who are you? What do you want from us?" The man didn't answer right away. He just focused on the road, the headlights cutting through the dark night. "I'm here to protect you," he said finally, his voice firm. "I don't want anything in return. This isn't about me. It's about keeping you and your family safe." Jennifer couldn't understand it. Why would a stranger go to such lengths to help them? The SUV turned onto a quiet road, and after several minutes, the man pulled into a secluded, heavily secured house. "You're safe here for now," he said, getting out of the car. "But I'll need to make some calls to make sure they can't trace us." They stepped out into the cool night air. Jennifer looked at the house, wondering if this would be the last place they'd have to hide. "Thank you," Mark said, his voice quiet but sincere. The man nodded. "Get some rest. We'll figure out our next move in the morning." Jennifer nodded, but as they walked inside, a deep unease settled in her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that their troubles were far from over. Someone out there was looking for them, and the truth was just starting to unfold. And in that silence, she realized one thing for certain. No matter how much they tried to escape, the storm was coming.